Hi guys, Mrs. Novella here for part 2 of the back tack and back stitch on a fabric softener. So with pen I marked as a visual for you where I'm going to begin with a back tack, where I'm going to do my back stitch, and where I'm going to end with a back tack. We are sewing 3 sides of the fabric softener so that we can turn it right side out, stuff it, and whip stitch it shut. So I'm going to go ahead and begin sewing. Now just a note, though I did write on the pattern, I never sew through a pattern. I always sew on the fabric that is right outside the edge of the fabric. I just marked the fabric for a visual. So I went ahead and started my back tack. As you know, it's a stitch. You go over it 3 times, and when you go through the same exit and entry holes, it creates a very strong stitch that's considered a sewer's knot, and it'll secure your stitches to your fabric. So remember, we don't have to worry about the tail or the stitch being outside of the fabric right now because we're going to be turning this inside out. So my needle is now at the bottom of my sewing, and so remember, the back stitch is where you move up ahead from the bottom. I'm making about a centimeter stitch, and I'm going to pull my thread through, and then I'm going to come back a ½ centimeter, keeping it in a straight line, and I create a stitch. Now my thread is on the bottom of the fabric. I'm going to put my needle up ahead a centimeter. I want these stitches to be consistent and straight, and I'm using the edge of the pattern as a guide, and I'm coming back a ½ centimeter and creating a stitch. So repeat that again, going forward a centimeter, coming back a ½ centimeter. So on the front side, it looks like a running stitch, but on the back side, it looks like a continuous long stitch. And that continuous long stitch is what makes the back stitch a very sturdy stitch for sewing fabric together for all different types of purposes. We're going to be using this particular stitch for the majority of our sewing going forward. So getting used to the forward-backward motion is going to be very crucial for you to master today on your fabric softener before we move forward with real fabric. So what you're going to do is you're going to continue this back stitch all the way around the perimeter of 3 sides of your fabric softener, and when you get to the end, you're going to end with a back tack.